On this episode of the Airport Economist, the Kingdom of Brunei, a tiny but affluent country located in the heart of Southeast Asia. Brunei Darussalam is known as the abode of peace. It certainly is peaceful in the jungles of Borneo, where Brunei is situated, but it's also an engine room of natural resources, trade and investment located right here in the heart of Southeast Asia. I'm Tim Harcourt, the Airport Economist, and I'm going to show you the innovation, creativity and enterprise of this tiny but ambitious ASEAN nation. Let's find out why Brunei is one of the wealthiest nations in the region and about its aspirations for the future. Welcome to Brunei. Brunei, or its official name, Brunei Darussalam, is located on the island of Borneo near Indonesia and Malaysia. The capital is Bandar Seri Begawan, and the Sultan of Brunei is both the head of state and the head of government. Its population isn't huge, just over 450,000, and the country itself is just 5,000 square kilometres, most of it beautiful rainforest. The Brunei economy is dominated by the oil and gas industry, but is looking to diversify its economy as part of the Brunei Vision 2035 strategy. Brunei is fabulously wealthy, with a GDP per capita of over $50,000 per head. Brunei is a member of ASEAN and APEC, and its main trading partners are Japan, Australia, South Korea, China, and near neighbours Singapore and Malaysia. As a result of its enormous wealth, the citizens of Brunei enjoy a high standard of living. There is no income tax in Brunei, and education and healthcare is free. Literacy rates are high, at nearly 98% for males and over 95% for females. Its ambition under Wawasan Brunei Vision 2035 is to have a standard of living that ranks in the top 10 in the world. Brunei has had economic success thanks to its endowment of natural resources, but it is conscious that it cannot rely on oil and gas forever. That's why it's developed Wawasan Brunei Vision 2035. Let's talk to one of the key figures helping implement that vision, the Second Minister for Finance and Economy and the Chair of the Brunei Economic Development Board, BEDB, Minister Dato Amin. Minister, welcome to the Airport Economist.
Thank you.
So Minister, the economic blueprint, part of the Wawasan 2035, can you tell us about the blueprint and the vision for
Sure.
Brunei?
Yeah, of course, I think you would have heard Brunei has been trying to diversify. As an oil and gas producing country, you see this similar picture in many countries. But for Brunei, when we sort of look at the efforts that we have made over the years, we felt that maybe we need a strategic framework to take us through, especially our vision in 2035 has laid out very clearly that we need to have a very sustainable, diverse, dynamic economy. So how do we achieve that? Then everybody needs to be guided by some framework. Otherwise, we keep talking and people will just keep listening and do not, envision a sort of a framework as to how confident are we in getting there. When we look at the strengths and weaknesses of Brunei, then we believe these 5 sectors that we have identified in our economic blueprint are the really workable sectors. Because it's not just about what you want to achieve on the economic front, but it's about how you prepare your workforce, the education level, so that they are aligned towards these priority sectors.
When you thought about the priority sectors with the vision, how did you choose them?
One of the priority sectors is downstream oil and gas. Now, if you look at the demand of workers in downstream oil and gas, I think you can almost look at your existing engineers in oil and gas sector to move them across in quite similar so-called industry, so to speak, and also similar types of skill. And so you provide familiarization. People are not too worried about moving from one cluster to another. They can still deliver, they can still perform, rather than move to a strange cluster. The other cluster, aquaculture that I mentioned, if you look at this region, Southeast Asia, or even beyond, many countries have overfished in the open sea. It will be a matter of time, the stock in the open sea will run out, and people will have to rely on aquaculture. We are also talking about an industry that the demand is there. The other clusters like services, we still have a lot that we can do domestically. A lot of these services that we previously outsourced to other countries to do can be done here in Brunei. Other than that, the ICT, digitalization, and so on. So ensuring that as we diversify our economy, the world is also moving on. We can't be left behind with technology. For that particular cluster, we believe you need to invest a lot in your infrastructure to facilitate ICT development, and first and foremost, your connectivity within the country. So again, this is an effort that we have undertaken about 5 years ago in terms of the speed of our connectivity. So prior to this project, we ranked quite low globally, even in ASEAN. But today, we are up there at the top of this grouping.
When you think about, digitalisation is going well. You've got the bridge bringing the two parts of Brunei together. You're preserving the rainforest and ecotourism. But how do you ensure that economic growth and environmental sustainability sort of go hand in hand? How does that work in your vision?
While we are producing oil and gas, we are preserving our rainforests. And so when we talk about heart of Borneo, our part of this heart of Borneo is made up of virgin rainforests. So that is a commitment that we have made, and we continue to preserve them.
You were at the special summit for Australia and ASEAN a couple of weeks ago. What things do you think Australia and Brunei can do together? Brunei as a member of ASEAN and Australia as a friend through free trade agreements and so on.
One thing very clear out of this summit, again, this was conveyed to us before. I think the summit reaffirmed Australian government's commitment in ASEAN, and they believe ASEAN is a growth area that will benefit both together. ASEAN itself is 660 million people, and the population in ASEAN are all quite dynamic. These economies here are all very dynamic.
So it's about just over 10 years since I was last in Brunei, and so if we go forward another 10 years, it'll be 2035. So hopefully I'll come before then. But if I was to come then, what do you think would be the Brunei that I'd see or you'd like me to see, and how do you think foreign investors would view that Brunei?
Well, I'm sure you will come more often than every 10 years.
Yeah.
And so you're always welcome to see how we progress. Now, I think Brunei, for these 5 priority sectors, especially for the downstream oil and gas, aquaculture, and services, I think there will be quite a lot of development. Now, ICT will move on its own. People will adapt to technology as they go. Some of the aquaculture activities are using AI and so on. So people will move on with technology. Government will encourage the public to adopt digitalization and so on. And tourism, again, we won't need to be part of the ASEAN, if not bigger, part of the circuit. If people go to Thailand, they will come to Brunei and so on. But I think on downstream oil and gas, what we have seen today with the petrochemical plant that we have, with the fertilizer plant that we have, with methanol plant that we have, this will open up a lot of downstream opportunity. Would the Brunei be doing all of this ourselves? No. We need partners. As you are diversifying your economy, you want the world to know that you really mean business. You want to tell the rest of the world that you are up there in your trade policies. So I think that is what I see the Brunei's economic landscape come 2035.
Minister, thanks for being on the Airport Economist.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you.
Open to foreign investment? You betcha. Let's talk to leading experts on the prospects for business in Brunei. Well, welcome to the Airport Economist.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, what support does BEDB provide for Brunei-based enterprises?
Thank you, Tim, for the question. For the Brunei Economic Development Board, we actually have three key functions. So the first one is for promotion and facilitation of investments. So that includes foreign direct investors as well as domestic investors as well. So we will be the main party to coordinate and support businesses when they come into the country. But for those domestic enterprises, we also look at helping them with their capacity building in terms of business-related areas, providing them with industrial facilities, whether it's land or readily built factories, and as well as connecting them to markets. Domestic enterprises are encouraged to look beyond the markets of Brunei into the region.
Do you have special services for startup businesses?
Yeah, definitely, Tim. I think startup is an exciting area. Of course, nowadays, any business, you would be looking at technological solutions or having an innovative approach to serving your market. So in terms of startups, we help through working with the universities, as well as we do a lot of innovation-related things like hackathons to bring ideas together. One thing that we have started to look more into is how to deal with industry-related challenges so that we connect them with industry to understand what problems that they face and how a startup can help solve these problems with an innovative solution and then participate in the value chain of bigger businesses.
What services do you provide for foreign investors, either existing or prospective ones?
Actually, Tim, for our foreign investors, be the first port of call, even before they arrive into the country. We would usually provide some information and understand what the interests that they have, and as well as explaining Brunei's focus sectors and provide those initial market information to them so that they could plan. And when they do come, we probably would already have a set itinerary for them so they could meet all the right people.
So like a matchmaking service?
Exactly. And in fact, we would like to call ourselves, look at ourselves like a concierge service where the needs of the investors are being anticipated in advance. We could provide them the support when they are here. And with all the trade agreements that Brunei has with the rest of the world, hopefully also connect them to the regional and global markets.
Do you know you can create fertiliser out of oil and gas? We'll find out soon about this innovation to help diversify the Brunei economy. Oil refining, petrochemicals and natural gas has been at the heart of Brunei's prosperity, and much of it has involved foreign investment. Let's talk to Hengyi Company Secretary Li Peng about one of the most impressive projects in the nation and its contribution to the Brunei economy. Welcome to the Airport Economist.
Thank you, Professor Tim.
When we think of Hengyi Industries it's been very successful in China, and when it chose to go overseas, it chose Brunei. Why did it choose Brunei as a destination for investment?
As you know, Hengyi has a strategy to build a complete industry chain, and to investment in a further upstream industry is necessary, is a strategy to break through the bottleneck of the feedstock supply of our downstream plants in China. And why we choose Brunei as an investment destination? Actually, before to make the FID to Brunei, the decision maker of the Hengyi Group look at lots of potential destinations for investments. This includes those countries in ASEAN and Middle East.
And was there something about Brunei that was attractive to Hengyi when it decided to invest here? Was there something that stood out from Brunei?
Yeah, we all know Brunei is rich of oil and gas resources. Except for that, there are few advantages suitable for Hengyi's investment. If you look at the map, Brunei is located quite near the international crude transportation line. Also, it's in center of the ASEAN, directly facing to BEDB market and Australia market. IGA means East ASEAN growing area.
So what does PMB produce? What products do you produce at PMB?
For our project, phase one, currently we have two categories of products. The first category, we call it fuel products, including the gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel. Our products can achieve a Europe 5 standard, and it even satisfies the demand of Australian market. The second category, including the we call it aromatic products or chemical materials. That includes paraxylene PX, and benzene. We also have some small products like the LPG, sulfur, and isobutane.
Now that's just phase one. There is talk of phase two. What would phase two potentially involve?
For phase two, we want to further expand the capacity and also further diversify the scope of products.
Hengyi's downstream production fits back to China, but how does it help local Brunei industry in terms of fitting in with local supply chains in Brunei and integrating local Brunei companies?
We call this one LBD, Local Business Development, or ICV, in-country value. This is also very important commitment of the investment. As per our internal statistic, since operation, the total contract value between Hengyi and the local companies already exceed 200 million Brunei dollars. And we already set up business tie with local company of more than 84 companies.
And directly thinking about people, how many Bruneians do you employ?
Yeah, this touched a very important portion of that we call it a localization. Yeah, that's also one of our commitment to the country. So far, the total employee within the company by end of last year already reached 738 local employees. We achieved 44% target.
So of the workforce, you employ 40% of your workforce are Brunei?
Yeah, more than 40% already.
And when thinking about training and scholarships, do you provide scholarships for Bruneians in Brunei and also in China as well?
Actually, we started this initiative, already started this one 10 years ago. At that time, we provide scholarship and we cooperate with University of Brunei Darussalam, UBD, and the China Zhejiang universities to jointly train the local talent in the petrochemical bachelor degree. By end of last year, the total, we have already awarded scholarships for more than 800 800 persons. Among them, around 150 scholars already joined us.
We talk a lot about in the vision for 2035 of sustainability and the environment.
Yeah.
What are some of your initiatives to improve sustainability in your industry?
Yeah, we all know the sustainability has already been highlighted within the Brunei's National 2035 vision. Yeah, this is very important even for foreign investment.
When you think about phase one and maybe phase two, looking ahead to the next 10 years, where do you think Hengyi will be in Brunei?
Actually, we do hope through Hengyi's phase one, phase two, and subsequent investments, the Brunei, especially the Pulau Besar, the PNB island, can attract more downstream investment. Thus, we can jointly contribute to develop this PNB into downstream industry hub in the regional downstream petrochemical hub, and also to set a solid foundation to achieve Brunei's 2035 vision.
A head of state who flies his own plane, let's learn about Brunei's passion for aviation and how you can get to this amazing country. Well, Captain, welcome to the Airport Economist.
Thank you.
Where does Royal Brunei Airlines fly? What routes do you have?
Royal Brunei, we have an extensive network within the region itself, but we also touch on to Australia. We flew out of Melbourne in Australia and all the way up to London. We also go further east to Tokyo now, Narita, and we also cover South Korea, Incheon, and extensively within our region. Of course, we fly to Singapore. So the network is quite extensive within our region, with a reach to Europe, to London. And also, of course, we used to fly direct, but now we fly via Dubai, so that we do touch into Middle East via Dubai.
Now you're ordering Dreamliners. Is this a sign of how the airline has grown?
Yes, the Dreamliner is an investment for our future. The aircraft will be delivered in 2028. Within RB, we have a policy of keeping the average age of the aircraft quite young. And by purchasing and investing in this Dreamliner, which will be delivered in 2028, that will ensure that we put a place for our future with a younger fleet and refresh our fleet, which will give us an advantage in ensuring the safety of our passenger, the safety of our operation. So it is more of an investment for our future, knowing that today there are supply chain issues within the industry, and it's paramount for us to invest and make sure that we have a foothold in our future.
Now your cabin crew in flight has won a lot of awards.
They did, yes.
How did you develop such a high standard of customer service?
We're very proud of our cabin crew and the service that they do in the cabin. It takes a lot of training. It takes a lot of training and development for our cabin crew and the service that they do on board. It is by design. We put them through rigorous training. We put them through service quality training as well. And it is in line with us placing ourselves as a boutique airline, which is we differentiate ourselves by the service that we provide on board.
Still to come, how Brunei is aspiring to become a global hub for halal food. I'll talk to one business leader spearheading the whole venture. One innovation in the great transformation of Brunei is creating fertiliser out of downstream products of oil and gas. I spoke to a senior executive from Brunei Fertilizer Industries to see how this all happens. Well, Rayhan, welcome to the Airport Economist.
Thank you. Thank you for coming to see me here in our plant, BFI.
Could you just introduce us to the sort of history of the company, shed light on your operations, the types of products that you bring to market?
So BFI is a state-owned enterprise. We're about 10 years old, so we've just reached our 10-year milestone last year, which means we were established around 10 years ago in 2013. We're actually the first ammonia and urea plant in Brunei, and currently the only one. I emphasize on the word currently, so you never know what's going to happen in the future. So when we finished our construction about in 2022 itself, we were actually the largest single train fertilizer plant in the region. So that's a big history for Brunei in itself. The plant, the ammonia and urea plant, is the Brunei government's initiatives actually to stimulate the downstream petrochemical industry. So when we started selling in 2022, we created some kind of a ripple effect in the industry, because here was Brunei Darussalam, famous for oil and gas.
Of course.
You know, it's predominantly oil and gas. Export is predominantly oil and gas, and suddenly making a name in itself in the fertilizer industry. And then to a large extent, people were saying all over the world, where is this coming from? How is this coming about? So we're very happy. We're very happy that we're finally around in the market and creating a difference, not just in the global arena, but also most importantly to Brunei, where it first started for us here at BFI.
So for a non-technical person like myself, you basically are using the byproducts of oil and gas downstream to make fertilizer.
Yes, so that's the unique thing about this industry, how we connect the upstream oil and gas to feeding the people by use of fertilizer. So BFI is in the middle. We utilize raw materials such as natural gas, right? So that's something that we source domestically. And natural gas is used as part of the process to produce urea as fertilizer to grow crops to feed the world.
So how did it, what was the market reaction when you suddenly produced these new products and put them on the market?
It was actually quite surreal. It was a long project. We're 10 years of age. So suddenly to make an impact and for people all around the world to come to see us, you know, they were knocking on our doors. Instead of us chasing them, they came to us. They say, hey, we hear that you're producing and selling urea. Do you have any availability? Can you sell to us? Can you sell to markets that Brunei have never accessed before in the past? And now we've done that. So for context, for example, a few years ago, last year, we sold to Chile. So Chile is a country we've never, as a country, exported any product at all. But with BFI and also with the signed trade agreements, we were able to leverage on preferential tariff and access markets which maybe with buyers would never have considered in the past. But here we are. So BFI and government initiatives working together and creating new potentials for the country.
It sounds like supply has created its own demand.
Indeed, and in a way that's also because the agriculture needs in Brunei for fertilizer is very small. So in essence, whatever we produce is available to sell for exports. Brunei's fertilizer need represents only about 2 hours of annual production.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're comfortably able to meet the local demand, and we move towards complete import substitution.
If you're selling to Chile, obviously the price and the quality are right.
Yes, it has to be. Agriculture is regarded as an important commodity, so it's under strict control by regulations. So we're certified, for example, to also export to Australia. As you know, Australia has very, very stringent rule. So if we're able to export to Australia, the strictest of all countries in the world, then we can also offer the same quality, best quality to other parts of the world. So what BFI is currently looking into is we're looking to offer a different type of urea, for example, that looks into improving soil quality by producing urea coated with humic acid, or also providing coating with zinc, which focus on providing added nutrients for us. Because some soils in Southeast Asia markets, for example, are lacking in that zinc nutrients. So by providing these added different product for urea, we're addressing or reducing the gap in food security.
Looking into the future, where do you think BFI will be and Brunei will be in the next 5 or 10 years in terms of new markets and new products, and where do you want to see the company go?
I think there's a lot of potentials there for Brunei, for BFI. I see BFI as a catalyst together with the existing industries in Brunei. The more collaboration that we see between the existing industries, the more potential there is for the country. So for example, with BFI, we can provide raw materials and feedstocks to existing industries near us. So instead of them procuring the raw materials outside or us procuring raw materials outside, we can work together to help each other procure the necessary requirements domestically. At the same time, what we have, we can also attract potential investments into the country, thereby creating new industries. I think in a way it makes Brunei more attractive because we're providing the necessary building blocks so that it provides opportunities for new industries to be set up in Brunei.
Manufacturing is only 15% of the Brunei economy, but hopefully that's about to change. Brunei aspires to be the global hub of the halal food industry. Let's talk to someone who's helping to make it all happen. So welcome to the Airport Economist.
Thank you very much, Tim.
So just to begin with, Royal Brunei Culinary, tell us a bit about the venture. How did it start, and what's your vision?
Well, Royal Brunei Culinary, it's RBC for short. We've been around for a long time, actually. We're about to celebrate our 50th anniversary next year. And we started all the way back in 1975. We were known as Dairy Farm originally, and it was just mainly for servicing airline meals as well. And then over the many years, we've continued to evolve and expand further. So from 1975, apart from airline catering, we started opening restaurants, cafes, canteens as well. We changed our name around the mid-80s to Royal Brunei Catering. And then we continued on around 2000. We expanded even further to take care of healthcare catering as well. And we do a lot of different hospitals in Brunei. And 2020 comes around, we launched the facility that we're sitting in right now, which is the largest kitchen in Brunei, the central kitchen. And once we launched the central kitchen, we rebranded our commercial entity to Royal Brunei Culinary. So instead of just a catering company, we are the leading culinary provider for Brunei Darussalam.
So anything to do with food, catering, culinary, cuisine is your portfolio? Pretty much.
We are the largest food producer in Brunei. We are the largest procurer of raw materials for food in Brunei as well. We consider ourselves the standard bearer for the food sector in Brunei as well. We are 100% halal certified. We have the food safety certifications as well. We try to set ourselves as the role models, set the examples for everyone else to follow as well.
You mentioned halal certification. What sort of international certificates do you have?
We have quite a few. We've had quite a few, and we're very blessed to achieve this because it's a lot of work as well. Of course, the main one that we're very proud of is that we have the halal certification. So we run the largest halal certified kitchen in Brunei, the central kitchen over here, and all our other outlets, our satellite kitchens, our preparatory kitchens, all over Brunei are all halal certified as well. It's a lot of work to do that because it's very stringent, the process of getting these certifications for halal, because every recipe, every item, every raw material needs to be submitted, it needs to be verified as well. So this is a company that uses 2,000, 3,000, maybe 10,000, raw material items as well. They all need to be certified on top of thousands of recipes as well. They need to be certified as well. We're very proud of that. And that's one of other certifications that we have as well. Food safety, food hygiene, we're the largest HACCP certified kitchen in Brunei as well. Hazard analysis, critical control point certification, it just means that we have highlighted all the SOPs that needed to be highlighted. We follow them and we know how to minimize risk as much as possible for food safety.
Now I was interested in, you sell a lot in Brunei obviously, but I understand you've also exported to Malaysia, to Sabah, so exports have got to be part of your venture now as well.
Oh yes. When we launched Royal Brunei Culinary, our new tagline, our new vision was pretty much to bring the taste of modern Brunei to Asia and beyond. So it was already in a tagline to go not only to Brunei, but to Asia and beyond. So food manufacturing exporting was always on the cards. So when we managed to actually enter our first export MOU, export deal with Kota Kinabalu Sabah side last year, it was something that we never imagined that we could ever do. It was like a snowball kind of effect as well, because once we entered KK Sabah, a couple of months later, we managed to enter into Singapore as well. So we actually managed to enter 2 countries in 1 year. Now we're hungry for more.
Do you think Brunei could, be a global hub for halal food?
Oh, definitely. The strength, it comes down to the strength of the Brunei Halal certification. It is one of the strongest certifications to bring overseas as well. The halal certification from Brunei gives a lot of reassurances to all Muslims and all halal consumers around the world as well, because we are very stringent in giving these certifications in Brunei. So with Wawasan 2035, sustainability and the growth of the food sector as well, apart from the domestic, it's all about exporting. It's all about getting all these great local domestic products overseas as well. Easier said than done, but there's a lot of people hungry to go overseas. There's a lot of that supply chain, that production process that we all need to work together to make sure it goes overseas in the right way, in the safe way, in the most professional way as possible as well. So it's very exciting.
Well, thanks for appearing on the Airport Economist.
Thank you very much. This is fun.
In 2024, Brunei and Australia are celebrating 40 years of diplomatic relations. I sat down with Luke Arnold, the Australian High Commissioner, to get his insights on the bilateral relationship. So, High Commissioner, welcome to the show.
Great, thanks for having me, Tim.
So this is a year of anniversaries, of course, with ASEAN and Australia, but of course Brunei and Australia are having their 40th anniversary. What's been some of the sort of highlights of the relationship?
Yeah, great, good question. So Brunei this year is celebrating what they characterise as the 40th anniversary of their resumption of full independence. So the Sultan is of the view, and I think he's right, that Brunei never fully ceded sovereignty and that it was an independent country before colonisation. So resumption of full independence is how they talk about it. And when they did resume their full independence, we were amongst the first countries to recognise them and to establish those diplomatic relations. So we're celebrating 40 years of that this year. Our relationship, Australia's relationship with Brunei does, of course, predate that. Indigenous, as you know, Indigenous Australians have been trading with that region for a very long time. And then in World War II, Australia played an instrumental role in the liberation of Borneo, including through landings in Brunei that we call Operation Oboe. So the relationship does predate that 40 years. But in the 40 years that Brunei has resumed its full independence, we've really taken the relationship from strength to strength. So it started in 1985 with a whole lot of defence and security cooperation, where we still have standing exercises. We do a lot in the defence space, and that is a real highlight of the relationship. And now also in law enforcement, with police-to-police cooperation, on things like countering narcotics and terrorism, and it's now moving, and it's apt for this show. It's moving into a broader relationship that encompasses economic cooperation as well. I think just before my time as High Commissioner, when COVID hit, it created an opportunity for Australia to build its relationships across Southeast Asia, but in Brunei's case, I think we really seized that opportunity to take our warm neighbourly friendship to the next level. Australia provided some vaccines, which went down exceptionally well. It was at the very start of the pandemic, and that really put our relationship on track, on a very good track during Brunei's ASEAN chair year in 2021. And so we cooperated really well on the back of that vaccine donation throughout that chair year. So the Sultan and the then Prime Minister Morrison, they co-developed the East Asia Summit leaders' statement on mental health cooperation. So it was the first time that leaders had in our region speaking openly about the importance of mental health. And they got, between the two of them, got President Biden, President Xi to sign up to this declaration to ramp up mental health cooperation. Brunei also committed to establishing a climate change centre, which we're going to support. So there's some amazing cooperation in that ASEAN year in 2021. And then in my time, I started in January 2022. We've really beefed up the ASEAN cooperation with Brunei, but also bilateral cooperation. So Minister Wong visited as part of her pledge to visit every Southeast Asian country in her first 12 months. I think everyone except Myanmar, and she did that. She fulfilled her promise, and so she came to Brunei in October of 2022 and progressed a whole lot of cooperation on things like climate change, food security, maritime cooperation, a whole range of really important bilateral issues. And then on the back of that, His Majesty visited Australia as a guest of government in June last year and signed with now Prime Minister Albanese a comprehensive partnership. So we've elevated the relationship. And bureaucrats and diplomats like me love these things, but it is really important that we are now formally comprehensive partners that sends signals to both of our systems that it's really important for us to cooperate. And we're working on a plan of action to implement this comprehensive partnership that Prime Minister Albanese and His Majesty signed about 9 months ago.
So again, it's another anniversary, Australia and ASEAN, and Brunei must be the smallest member of ASEAN, but it must play an important role with ASEAN. And does Australia help Brunei in that?
Yeah, good question. They are the smallest ASEAN. I mean, Singapore is the next smallest, but Singapore is multiple times bigger than Brunei.
Of course.
And so they, because they are a small country population-wise, ASEAN matters probably more to them than to any other ASEAN member state. They invest a lot of time and energy and resources into ASEAN forums. They even have an ASEAN department headed by a permanent secretary who reports to the minister. So they really take ASEAN seriously. And we work with them on that. So they realise, for example, that ASEAN's credibility requires it to take action on climate change. And so they have put their hand up, the Bruneians, to host an ASEAN Climate Change Centre, and we have pledged to help them to do that. So we're already working with them on looking at funding models for the centre, on mobilising technical expertise, on developing the corporate systems to build this centre to make sure it's a success and that it helps ASEAN more broadly deal with what is a massive issue for our region.
Now this vision, Wawasan Brunei 2035, is sort of the great transformation of Brunei. How do you see that developing for the country?
Yeah, so that's so every Bruneian knows what Wawasan 2035, and Wawasan means vision, what it means. It's actually really just, I think now it's become code for the importance of Brunei's economic transformation. It is a country that is heavily dependent on oil and gas revenue. I think it's somewhere around 80% of government revenue is coming from this one sector. And Bruneians know that that's not sustainable from either a supply or a demand perspective. So they know they need to diversify. And so Wawasan Vision 2035 is a strategy to do that. It's been around for a while, but my sense is just in the last few years, and actually even in this year, there's a bit more urgency about it. And I think they're seeing that prices of hydrocarbons are volatile, that the world is starting to decarbonise, and that they need to invest in going beyond that industry. And so that's really what Wawasan means to a lot of Bruneians, particularly policymakers. And it's good that there is this kind of increasing sense of urgency around that.
So with Wawasan 2035, the great transformation of Brunei, what's Australia's role?
Well, there's a member of parliament, it was actually reported in today's media, a member of the Brunei Legislative Council was talking about Wawasan, and the way he described it, he said, look, Brunei needs to get out of its, he said, kapompong, which means cocoon. It's like we need to go beyond Brunei. We need to work with other partners. And Australia is a partner that they turn to, and we want to be a partner of choice in that economic transformation. So when Minister Wong visited, she had conversations including with the Finance Minister about what kind of technical advice and policy dialogues we can have on climate policy, for example, and energy transformation. We brought a high-powered delegation down to Australia of Bruneian climate policy makers and energy transition experts to come down and they visited Canberra, they visited Melbourne, they even went out to the Latrobe Valley to see what's going on there. And they will go back to Brunei with networks in Australia and start implementing, or continue to implement and to deepen that those policy settings that will hopefully enable Brunei to diversify its economy and seize opportunities. Like the green economy, we've got to see as an opportunity. Just like Australia has realised that after many years of, I think, unhelpful debate about climate, we've finally decided, well, actually, this is an opportunity for us, and we can create jobs in our country. And sharing with Brunei how we've embarked on that and what we've done right, but also what we've done wrong, I think is going to be really useful, and I think Brunei will appreciate it.
Well, High Commissioner, thanks for your time and for welcoming us to Brunei and telling us about the relationship with Australia.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks for having me again.
Brunei is a small but friendly country and is easy to get around and extremely welcoming to visitors, both business people and tourists alike. It's also visionary, with the Brunei government understanding the need to diversify and as a result is welcoming to trade and foreign investment. So what have we learnt during our visit? Well, first of all, Brunei is Islamic and devout in terms of religion. So keep that in mind with respect to dress and alcohol. The royal family are greatly respected throughout Brunei and joyously celebrated, like the recent royal wedding. For business advice on regulations, talk to the Brunei Economic Development Board, BEDB, and also, if you like, your own representative, such as the Australian High Commission here in Brunei. Finally, Brunei is clean, it's safe, and it's an easy place to do business. And the locals are very friendly to foreign visitors. Well, that's about it for the Brunei edition of the Airport Economist. See you on our next business adventure together somewhere around the great globe. I'm Tim Harcourt, and I'm the Airport Economist.